They say you never stop playing EVE Online. You just take breaks. I'm here now to prove that statement very true. I'm Buckland Fondue, and I've come back to EVE Online after over a decade of being away. At this point, I've just downloaded the game, and I'm getting stuck back into it. I haven't looked through the website, I haven't watched any YouTube videos. I'm gonna go in completely blind. How much could it have possibly changed over 10 years? To get started, I chose to create just a brand new character, relearn from the ground up. And I decided to really switch things up from my previous character, Buckland Fondue, so I've created a new character, Buckland Fondue. Mustache still included, of course. Upon logging in, I was quickly reminded just how pretty this game is. I'm always impressed with the art team's work, always have been. Everything looks just so sleek, so clean. And while creating my character, I'm already noticing a lot of changes. Changes that I'm so far impressed with. I remember EVE always struggled with bombarding the player base with overwhelming and sometimes unnecessary information, even on the character select screen. This more simplistic, to the point, and visual storytelling, it's much better. I really appreciate that I was given a solid rundown of the histories and motivations of each faction, along with some examples of what their ships look like and what they can do. Nice touch. Kicking off the tutorial, I'm a little worried because I'm not with the faction that I've chosen. Instead, I'm part of some group called Air, whoever they are. I've even started in one of those generic faction Sisters of Eve ships. Interesting, because I remember those being really expensive. This new group, Air, seems to be the ones who own the cloning technology in the EVE universe. Maybe they always did, and I just don't remember. I'm hoping that I actually still belong to my faction and that the whole character select portion wasn't for nothing. But we'll find that out real soon, I imagine. They are really pulling out the stops here visually with the grand spectacles, and I don't blame them. Like I said earlier, this was always one of EVE's strong suits. They've also created a nice little narrative here. Lots of decent voice work. Not great, but it's pretty good. I'm curious to see if they continue the story, however, that they've created here, or if this is just going to be a one and done thing. They've ended in a way that makes me think it's going to be continued somewhere. Probably find it at some point. Once I completed the initial tutorial, I was sent to be with my faction, in my faction starting corporation, with my faction specific ship. I now have entered some familiar territory. The first obvious change in the game I'm seeing before I even get started in anything else is that it's free to play. While the free to play model does give more people a chance to try the game, and companies historically make more money using this model, it's not always best for its players. Companies can use various methods to make money this way. They can use microtransactions for players to purchase cosmetic items, power-ups, and or consumables. There are paid-for battle passes that provide rewards during your active pass. This method usually puts a lot of reliance on fear of missing out or FOMO practices, exclusive items that can only be obtained during a limited time, or daily logins to push that active player count. Companies can also put in barriers on your character's progression, forcing you to pay for a subscription to then remove those barriers. I've not seen any of those yet, so I'm not sure which route EVE is gonna take. I haven't been introduced to the store at this point yet, which is nice. It's like when you were younger and you called your parents and you both know you're only calling because you want something, but you go through the small talk first and wait a little bit before asking. I like that. Take it slow. I know you want my money, but let me see the game first. So this is good. I like this. Now, I did notice something. Unfortunately, I didn't get a shot of it at the time, but I noticed while playing, in the top left corner of the screen, where normally your buff and debuff items go, I had one there that said if I stayed logged in for at least 2 hours within 24 hours of creating this character, I'd get a bonus reward. I tried creating another character to see if it would pop up, but it only appeared to be for new accounts, not just new characters. This is actually fairly clever. In a lot of games, especially free-to-play games, they see a massive drop-off in new players within that first 2 hour mark. Go to the Steam achievements page and see what % of players don't complete the most basic achievements. So a little incentive to push that player base past the quit period. Not opposed to that. At this point, I've now been hit with the first classic free-to-play method of daily login. But it's not that bad. The rewards aren't exclusive items, and the track only ticks down when I log in. So I don't miss a reward because I didn't log in that day, so I'll get all the rewards so long as I log in for 15 days. And it doesn't have to be 15 consecutive days. Nice. I like this method of daily login. It doesn't create FOMO, and it doesn't create a feeling of loss. No issues with this. It also seems to be only for new players, so I'm curious if this is the only daily login, or if there's going to be like an event-based daily login later. We'll see. I've also noticed that the game, it still has Plex. It kept that, but while it used to be an item you could buy with real money to sell to other players that could in turn use it for game time, fairly similar to World of Warcraft's WoW token. It's now just a premium currency that they use to buy a myriad of things in the game, just like any magic crystal in almost every mobile game ever. Being able to buy in-game currency with real-world money is nothing new in EVE Online, so I'm not opposed to this either. The ability to buy and sell skill points was just coming in as I was leaving the game. And I'll say right now, this was not my reason for leaving. I'm not against this. EVE Online has been out for so long, and with the essential leveling up in this game being real-time based, it was basically impossible for a newer player to catch up, or at least get to a point where they felt useful or competitive in a group in a reasonable amount of time. I'm mostly okay with this as well. Every other MMO has some level boosting of some kind, so why shouldn't EVE? However, I did come across these rentable skills, where you could buy upwards of 240 days worth of training time skills to perfectly pilot a ship. This was also purchasable for cheap. It was probably the first time I felt like the game was pushing the toxic free-to-play model on people to spend just a little bit of money to have them fall into the sunk cost fallacy. In case you're unaware, the sunk cost fallacy is when someone spends time or money on something that they can begin convincing themselves it's not a problem to spend more time or money, even if they normally wouldn't, because they now feel like what they had spent previously would be wasted if they don't invest further. A way video games manipulate this is with very low-priced early items, like, ooh, look, 80% off, and that can make you feel obligated to buy it, so you're invested. Or they'll try to get your time with fear of missing out daily login rewards and events and enforce that time investment. This so far playing was the first time I felt a feeling of, did they go too far? Another aspect of these rented skills I don't really like is the fact that I can see maybe some corporations pushing newer players to use this to be more useful in fleet operations. But on the flip side, I get that if you're a new player and don't want to invest skill points, you can buy this to get an idea if you like a particular ship or playstyle. You also can't get a battleship or bigger or anything tier 2, so it's not that bad. I'm not sure how I feel about this. I haven't seen anything too bad yet, to be honest. I spoke too soon. After playing throughout the week, I'd missed a few days here and there. I came across the thing I most feared about playing EVE as a free-to-play game. Any MMO that's free-to-play. The dreaded FOMO daily login. Like I said, I didn't notice this until days after playing. This can reward you daily with 2 million ISK, 2,000 Evermarks, which I learned that it can be used to purchase cosmetics, I think, and 10,000 skill points. As a new player, those are huge rewards. After realizing I'd missed a few days worth of these, and I will certainly be missing quite a few in the future because being able to log in every day for an hour or two is just not going to be possible for me. I nearly quit and uninstalled the game right then and there. I want to play a game, not an obligation. And I get that may sound extreme, but there are so many games out there that it's easy to quit one and you don't like and just find another one real quick. For some people like me, they don't see rewards you get from daily logins as bonuses. I only see the ones I don't get as penalties. I'm very surprised EVE Online uses the daily login method. Most higher-end PC and console games have moved to a weekly reward system because many people can't commit to an hour or two every day to a particular PC or console game. But they can commit to maybe 7 hours a week. Being able to put in 4 hours on a Saturday, 2 hours on a Tuesday, or 3 hours on a Thursday. A larger reward for completing a larger chore list also gives the player a bigger dopamine hit. So this is a pretty archaic system. I wouldn't be surprised if I end up finding loot boxes in the store at some point too. But to be fair, and to play devil's advocate to my own point I just made, when playing before, I didn't like how much passive gain there was in EVE Online. There were many players, and I'm assuming there still are, that would just log in, set their skills, move some stuff around, relist market items, collect their millions of ISK, and just log out. This does help to promote more rewarding active play. But I just dislike this practice, and honestly, I have to just try and ignore it, or accept the fact that I'm going to miss out on a lot of stuff because of it. For the actual game itself, the UI has had multiple blow-ups, and for the most part, I like it. Like usual, EVE looks great. EVE Online's UI has always looked very similar to the newest banking app on your phone. It did back when I played 10 years ago, and now it just looks like the banking app has had a 10-year upgrade. As for the actual gameplay, what I'll be doing for the majority of my time playing, EVE is EVE. Muscle memory quickly set in, and I immediately knew what I was doing. The hotkeys were the same, the strategies appeared to be the same. It is some new flash and some new free-to-play stuff in it, but appears to be as good as ever. If like me, you haven't played in a long time, don't worry. You'll get the hang of it real quick. It's even so much the same that 10 years ago, they were releasing a first-person shooter called Dust, set in the world of EVE. And they are still somehow releasing another brand new first-person shooter set in the world of EVE. I'm not sure how, but they are. But all in all, I'm excited to get stuck in, find out what I'd missed before, and what new things I can find out now. Well, that's it for me. See you out there.